không thể đem tất cả các sự thật của ba nước chúng ta chép vào đó được. Hơn nữa, sách cổ ký có văn từ thô lỗ, cộc cằn. Sử tích thì thiếu, không thể hiện hết và không khuyên răn được cái thiện, điều ác của nhà vua, lòng trung thành và lòng tà niệm của các quan, mối an nguy của xã tắc và việc trị loạn trong nhân dân. Giờ đây, đúng lúc có được nhân tài uyên bác cùng viết nên lịch sử một nhà, truyền cho hậu thế, sáng tựa nhật nguyệt muôn đời. (2018년부터) 이제 축구가 이제 유명해져가지고 많은 사람이 한국에 대한 관심을 가지게 됐죠. 또 요새 이제 한국어를 하는 사람이 많다 보니까 이제 점점 한국어 능력이 많이 좋아지거든요. 그래서 번역가 분들도 번역 능력도 많이 좋아져가지고 번역 저서도 독자를 많이 끕니다. 물론 한국 문화와 베트남 문화는 사람들이 공통점이 많다고 이야기했는데도 분명히 거기에 차이점이 있습니다. 예를 들어서 같은 유교 문화인데도 받아들이는 것은 다르기 때문에 번역가들이 그런 차이점을 모르면 번역할 때는 어렵고 오해할 수도 있거든요. 오해할 수도 있어서 그런 부분이 좀 신경 써야 하지 않은가. 그리고 한국어와 베트남어의 문법상으로 봤을 때 거꾸로 되어 있습니다. 그래서 그런 부분도 신경 써야 하고, 그리고 한국어의 특징은 수식 부분이 있는데 그 수식 부분을 주어의 수식 부분인지 또는 목적어의 수식 부분인지를 잘 구별해서 해야 하는 것 같습니다. 근데 작품에서 인간이 겪는 그런 일들을 다루거나 혹은 사람이 아름답게 살아가는 권장들을 하는 작품들인 것 같습니다. 제가 여태까지 한국 문학을 많이 번역했는데요. 제 전공은 아까 말씀드렸지만은 고전 문학이다 보니까 공부하고 이제 하다 보면은 이제 역사랑 관련성이 있어가지고 많이 읽게 되고요. 그래서 문학을 하면서 역사도 보니까 너무 재미있는 거예요. 그래서 이제 하나의 꿈이 뭐가 있냐면은 기회가 되면 한국 역사 자료들을 각 시기별로 한국 고대사부터 현대사까지 번역하고 싶습니다. 네.
In our headlines on this Wednesday, July 16th, here in South Korea, confirmation hearings for the president's cabinet picks entered day 3 today. with the nominees for Education, Justice and Labour responding to questions about their intentions in office. Meanwhile, the southern port city of Busan has won the bid to host the 48th UNESCO World Heritage Committee meeting next July. This will mark the first such hosting for South Korea after joining the convention back in 1988. And over in the US, tariffs on pharmaceutical drugs may be announced in 2 weeks' time, with the Trump administration starting with a lower rate to allow companies about a year to build factories in the US before facing a higher import duty. We begin at the Parliament yet again as confirmation hearings enter a third day, with the nominee for Education among those who face rebuke for a personal decision regarding her daughter's academic pursuits. Our political correspondent Shin Ha-young reports.
On the third day of hearings for the president's first cabinet, lawmakers on Wednesday questioned the nominees for Education, Justice, and Labor ministers on their policy agendas and qualifications. Nominee for Education Minister Lee Jin-suk, whose role doubles as Deputy Prime Minister, emphasized her commitment to nurturing future talent in step with the development of AI.
I will focus on enhancing digital literacy and AI fundamentals from elementary through high school, building a strong foundation to develop AI talent that will help South Korea become a global leader in AI.
During the hearing, the focus was on allegations of Lee sending her daughter abroad for overseas study at an age deemed illegal under the law and committing academic plagiarism. Lee apologized, saying she understood the allegations disappointed public expectations, but she denied all claims related to her academic papers. She also said she was unaware that sending a child who had not graduated from middle school abroad without a parent was illegal. The ruling and opposition parties clashed over the nominees' qualifications.
If the candidate had any conscience, I would have expected her to step down before the hearing to avoid becoming a burden to the Lee Jae-myung administration.
Calling this candidate unqualified? Why are we holding this confirmation hearing? And why are the lawmakers sitting here as committee members?
Meanwhile, Justice Minister nominee Chung Sung-ho said it was time to resolve the issue of separating the prosecution's investigation and indictment powers, emphasizing his commitment to prosecutorial reform, one of the Lee Jae-myung administration's key campaign pledges.
Separating the prosecution's powers to investigate and indict is an inevitable policy direction to ensure its political neutrality, reduce the concentration of power, and to establish checks and balances among investigative agencies.
Kim Young-un, the nominee for Employment and Labor Minister, pledged to resolve discrimination against temporary workers and ensure equal pay for equal work as his top priorities. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Employment expanded in June on year for the sixth month in a row, but the growth remained uneven by age and even by sector. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon explains.
The employment rate in South Korea continues to grow, but concerns remain. The number of people in employment last month was 29.091 million, an increase of 183,000 compared to the same month last year. That's according to the latest data from Statistics Korea released on Wednesday. Employment has been on the rise for 6 consecutive months since January, but June's increase was smaller than the 245,000 seen the month before.
By industry, the rise was led by health and social welfare, professional and scientific services, and educational services. By employment status, the increase was seen among regular and temporary workers, and by age group, it was most notable among those aged 60 and over, as well as those in their 30s.
However, the situation for young adults has been getting harder. Looking at the employment rate, it rose 0.1 percentage points year-on-year to 63.6% across all age groups, but for young people, it fell 1 percentage point to 45.6%, the lowest June figure in 4 years. For 14 straight months, the number of employed people under 30 has been falling. Compared to June last year, the loss was 173,000.
This is because companies increasingly prefer experienced candidates when hiring, and rolling recruitment has also been on the rise, factors that tend to disadvantage the youth.
On top of this, struggling industries continued a downward trend. Employment in manufacturing shrank by 83,000, extending a year-long slide, while construction jobs dropped by 97,000, now down for 14 months in a row amid a sluggish real estate development market. Those industries have been hit hard recently, but the government has recently allocated funds from its supplementary budget to give them a boost. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And over in the U.S., tariffs on pharmaceutical drugs may be announced in 2 weeks' time, with the Trump administration starting with a lower rate to allow businesses time to build factories in the U.S. before facing a higher import duty. Semiconductors will see a similar fate. Our Moon Ji-young has the latest.
U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated that tariffs on pharmaceutical imports could be imposed as soon as the end of this month, with duties on semiconductors also on the horizon.
Pharmaceuticals will be tariffed probably at the end of the month, and we're going to start off with a low tariff and give the pharmaceutical companies a year or so to build, and then we're going to make it a very high tariff.
Returning from a public event in Pittsburgh on Tuesday, Trump noted that the timeline for semiconductor levies was similar and less complicated to that for pharmaceuticals, though he offered no further details. These remarks suggest that these import taxes might coincide with broad reciprocal rates set for implementation on August 1st. The August 1st deadline gives targeted countries time to negotiate for lower tariff rates. Trump in recent days has sent letters to a number of trading partners, unilaterally dictating the rates for tariff on many imports, while maintaining he would continue to carry out negotiations. Trump predicted that he could strike 2 or 3 trade deals, stating,
"We're working on probably 5 or 6. Of the 5 or 6, I'm not sure I really want to do them. You know, you want somebody that knows how to negotiate, but we'll probably have 2 or 3.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration also announced plans to impose tariff on goods from smaller countries, including those in the Caribbean and Africa, which have not received tailored rates.
Caribbean countries, African countries, you have a huge amount of countries that are small, and the president's just going to deal with them sort of the way he thinks is the right way to deal with them.
Trump also mentioned that while some countries, such as South Korea, had shown a willingness to open trade following his threats, others, like Japan, had not. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
And despite hopes for 90 deals in 90 days, as shared back in April, the Trump administration has just sealed its third trade deal, this time with Indonesia, whose products into the U.S. market now face a 19% tariff. Our Lee Seung-jae covers this latest deal and more.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced a trade deal with Indonesia on Tuesday, where Washington will impose 19% tariffs on goods coming in from the Southeast Asian nation. American goods exported to Indonesia will face no tariffs or non-tariff barriers.
Everything we will pay no tariffs, so they are giving us access into Indonesia, which we never had. That's probably the biggest part of the deal. And the other part is they are going to pay 19%, and we are going to pay nothing.
The announcement comes after Trump said he finalized the deal after speaking to his Indonesian counterpart, President Prabowo Subianto. Trump previously said he would impose a 32% reciprocal tariff on Indonesian goods. Also, as part of the latest trade deal with the U.S., Indonesia has committed to spending $15 billion on U.S. energy, $4.5 billion on American agricultural goods, and 50 aircraft from Boeing. Indonesia becomes the second Asian country to make a deal with the U.S. after Vietnam. Meanwhile, the EU is preparing $83.5 billion worth of retaliatory tariffs on American goods in response to Trump's tariff threats. According to Politico on Monday, the European bloc listed American goods subject to tariffs by these 27 member states. The newly added items include aircraft, industrial machinery, and automobiles and auto parts. However, the EU expressed its willingness to continue negotiations with the Trump administration, stressing that no retaliatory tariffs will be in place until August 1st.
I can say to you that it is not our intention to come forward with any countermeasures before the 1st of August while negotiations continue.
Thank you.
EU's retaliatory tariffs are in response to Trump's warning last week that if negotiations fail between the U.S. and the European bloc, Washington would impose a 30% reciprocal tariff starting next month. 이승재, Arirang News.
On Wall Street, the tech-heavy Nasdaq closed its trade on Tuesday at another record high, driven by American chipmaker Nvidia. The index closed its session up 0.1% at 20,677.8 on the back of Nvidia, which surged 4% from the day prior to close above $170. Now, investor confidence soared upon news that Nvidia planned to resume sales of H20 AI chips to China. Korea's southern port city of Busan has won the bid to host UNESCO's World Heritage Convention next July. Our Park Hyo-bin files this report.
UNESCO's World Heritage Committee meeting will take place in Busan, South Korea's second-largest city, next summer. In a meeting in Paris on Tuesday, officials announced that South Korea will host the 48th session, scheduled for July 2026. While the event has previously been held in other Asian countries, this is the first time South Korea will serve as chair. In response to the announcement, the government welcomed the decision and called it a historic moment.
We're honored that South Korea has been chosen to host the 48th UNESCO World Heritage Committee session next July. This will mark the first time the meeting is held in our country, and it will be a historic moment to showcase South Korea's cultural leadership to the world.
More than 3,000 participants, including representatives from 196 signatories to the World Heritage Convention, are expected to attend to review global cultural and natural heritage from multiple angles. The Korea Heritage Service noted that the announcement is especially meaningful as it comes in the 30th anniversary year of Korea's first World Heritage listings, which include Bulguksa Temple and Seokguram Grotto in the city of Gyeongju.
Since joining the World Heritage Convention in 1988, South Korea is now serving its 4th term as a committee member. We aim to promote dialogue among cultures and strengthen international cooperation in line with UNESCO's founding principles.
Officials in Busan say the city was chosen for its proven ability to host large-scale events with strong infrastructure, security, and accommodation. The city previously hosted major gatherings like the APEC summit, and officials expect the World Heritage Session to further cement its reputation as a global conference hub. And with thousands of visitors expected, the event is also projected to boost the local economy through tourism and related spending. At the 47th session in Paris, which opened on July 6th, a set of prehistoric rock carvings in Ulsan city was added to UNESCO's World Heritage list. This marks South Korea's 17th inscription on the list, and the 2026 session in Busan is expected to further elevate South Korea's standing in global heritage diplomacy. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
In other news, US President Donald Trump is not looking to deliver long-range missiles to Ukraine. The remarks were shared by Mr. Trump himself to members of the media on Tuesday in response to related questions amid a report by the Financial Times that the US leader had asked his Ukrainian counterpart about Kyiv's ability to strike Moscow and St. Petersburg. The White House, for its part, claimed the president's remarks had been taken out of context. On Tuesday, Trump added that Ukraine should not target the Russian capital city. Meanwhile, also on Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that some members of the Russian leadership are criticizing Vladimir Putin for Mr. Trump's shift in attitude toward the Kremlin. A Russian emergencies ministry delegation is in North Korea for talks on disaster response and emergency coordination at the invitation of the regime. According to Russian news agency TASS on Tuesday, the ministry's deputy head, Roman Kurnin, is leading the team, and on the agenda are site inspections and discussions on joint training for rescue and firefighting personnel. Cooperation on this front reportedly follows a memorandum signed by Pyongyang and Moscow last year. Meanwhile, as many here in the country will agree, a cup of Korean bingsu is the hottest way to cool off this sweltering summer. Our Pyongyang had a taste.
This summer, a simple cup of shaved ice is emerging as the hottest item on cafe menus across South Korea. It's in high demand in cafes across the nation, especially during the hottest hours of the day, when lines form quickly and items sell out fast.
With the weather so hot and humid lately, I wanted something to cool down. I looked for some bingsu. I could enjoy alone, but cup bingsu was so popular, I had to search all over. I'm just really glad I finally found one.
As you can see, there are several flavors to choose from the classic red bean flavor to mango and chocolate. A cup of bingsu costs around 4,000 won, much cheaper than many other summer desserts. This kind of affordable indulgence is exactly what people are looking for in the middle of this scorching summer.
Sold in individual portions and priced at around 4,000 to 6,000 won, cup bingsu has quickly become a seasonal sensation. In many stores, it sells out every day, causing customers to check several locations or share tips online about where to find it. What was once a dessert associated with sharing is now being tailored to solo consumption, reflecting a wider shift in Korean consumer habits. Behind the boom are three key factors: the rise of people living by themselves, the rising cost of living, and the extreme heat. All three have helped redefine what people look for in a summer treat.
Consumers today prefer cup bingsus from franchise cafes because it's cost-effective and perfectly portioned for one person. These factors together make it a highly attractive choice.
The popularity of cup bingsu has also been amplified by social media. Viral posts from cafe workers joking about the overwhelming number of bingsu orders have turned into memes, driving even more public curiosity. Cafe staff say demand peaks between noon and mid-afternoon, especially on hotter days.
Our customers truly range across all age groups, men and women, young and old. After lunchtime, we often get group orders of 10 or more at once, and many people come looking for different flavors.
As Korea continues to battle scorching temperatures, this single-serving frozen treat is proving that the smallest indulgences can leave the biggest mark. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you the latest stories from around the globe. On Monday, Israel announced that it had targeted Syrian government troops near Sweda as they moved into the largely Druze city to suppress severe sectarian conflicts that broke out on Sunday. Sweda has seen intense fighting for 2 days when armed confrontations between Druze militias and Bedouin tribes took place, reportedly killing approximately 100 people as of Monday evening. Syrian security forces entered the city on Tuesday to enforce a ceasefire. However, their presence triggered armed resistance from local Druze fighters. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had ordered strikes on forces and weapons in the Sweda area to defend the Druze, citing deep cultural ties and a Syrian violation of the demilitarization of the area. In the United Kingdom, it was revealed on Tuesday that nearly 19,000 Afghans who had applied to move to the UK after the Taliban seized power had their details leaked. According to reports, the UK Ministry of Defence data breach in February 2022 exposed details of some 18,700 Afghan individuals, some of whom aided British forces. Around 16,000 Afghans had been relocated by May 2025, with an additional 4,500 in transit. The accidental leak was first reported in August 2023, resulting in a super injunction that prohibited public disclosure. The breach included the names, contact information, and certain family details of individuals who might be in danger from the Taliban. The government also revealed a classified Afghanistan response route scheme launched in April 2024, which was specifically designed to evacuate high-risk individuals.
Defense Minister John Healey publicly apologized, acknowledging the breach as one of the worst security risks in recent UK history during a statement to Parliament. In the United States, severe storms led to record-breaking rain in the New York City metropolitan area on Monday, killing 2 people in New Jersey and prompting the declaration of a state of emergency. New Jersey saw more than 15 centimeters of rain in a matter of hours, and New York City saw its second-ever highest hourly rainfall in over 80 years. New York's aging sewer system was quickly overwhelmed, flooding subway stations across Manhattan and halting multiple train lines, while air travel experienced widespread delays. As of Tuesday morning, several major roads in New Jersey were closed due to flooding, and both New York City and New Jersey experienced subway delays. Finally, Italy unveiled the official medals for the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and Paralympics on Tuesday during a ceremony in Venice. For the first time in Olympic history, both host cities Milan and Cortina are engraved on the medals, each made from 2 interlocking discs to symbolize unity and duality between Olympic and Paralympic values. A total of 245 gold, 245 silver, and 245 bronze medals will be awarded during the Winter Games. A total of 137 sets will be awarded in the Paralympics for each of the 3 rankings. The medals are produced from recycled metals using renewable energy. The Games are scheduled to begin in February 2026. Choi Ji-hee, Arirang News.
It has been raining all over the country today. In particular, this rain will be concentrated in the center areas and the Jeollado provinces. A heavy rain advisories has already been issued in the Seoul metropolitan area and the Chungcheongdo provinces. Heavy rain of up to 200 millimeters is expected in southern Gyeonggi-do province and Chungcheongnam-do province by tomorrow, and 150 millimeters or more in central inland areas, southern Gangwon-do and western Jeollabuk-do provinces. Other central areas and the Jeollado provinces will also receive up to 100 to 150 millimeters of heavy rain by tomorrow. Tomorrow, most areas will start off at around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. Daily highs will move up to 29 degrees in Seoul and Daejeon, Gyeongju and Jeju, so 32 degrees. This rain across the country will last until Saturday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.
Assembly held its first debate over the weekend.
The economy is expected to expand 2.5% this year.
Korea's ties with its global partners on the sidelines of the status UN summit.
A massive drone attack on Ukraine overnight on Monday and Tuesday.
Arirang.
Change the way you start skincare. 7 vegan peptide, maximum benefits for your skin. And amplify the effect of the next skincare step. Boosting, glowing, and brightening. Effortless care. Visible results. 7 vegan peptide booster. Mizone.
코딩을 배우고 싶어? 로보로보로 와! 로보로보와 코딩을 배워 로보로보와 사고력 키워 로보로보와 논리력 깨워 코딩 처음이라면 코딩 교육 전문가와 함께 로보로보와 실력을 높여 로보로보와 목표를 이뤄 로보로보와 내 꿈을 펼쳐
미래를 준비하는 코딩 교육 전문가
South Korea's ambitions in the field of artificial intelligence are being positively assessed by global market analysts, with one international investment firm forecasting big gains in the local stock market over the next decade, led by AI-related advances. Accordingly, what is the country's AI plan? We have more on Press Perspective today. Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Press Perspective. It's July 16th here in Seoul. I'm in Sanhee. So, what are the prospects of South Korea ranking among the world's top 3 AI powerhouses? To answer that question and more, I have Celia Fioretti with French daily Le Croix here in the studio. Celia, it's great to have you here.
Glad to be here.
And I also have Professor Kim Yong-jin at Seongang University with us virtually. Professor Kim, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hello, good rainy afternoon.
Right, it is raining here in capital Seoul. Yeah. Celia, before we touch upon the new administration's ambitious AI blueprint, let's briefly touch upon an outlook shared by a global investment company that believes the local stock market will post some of the highest returns over the next decade, bolstered by the AI industry. Do tell us a bit more about this outlook.
Exactly. Well, there's growing optimism surrounding South Korea long-term equity, and a lot of it has to do with the country's strengths in AI and tech industries, according to a new report from Morningstar. The global investment firm is projecting some of the highest returns from South Korean stocks among emerging markets over the next decade, despite some threats, including the US tariff that might come starting August 1st. The reason is South Korea is exceptionally well positioned in areas like semiconductors, high-performance computing, and AI, all of which are seeing explosive demand and global demand in the world. Morningstar points to Korean firms' dominance in AI, chip making, and memory technologies are some structural drivers, a good basis to work on, and will allow for big earning for Korea over the years to come. And this confidence is echoed locally in South Korea. The country new presidential administration is doubling down on AI, not just as a growth engine, but something to make a strategic goal for the country. President Lee Jae-myung is preparing what calls a national AI innovation strategy, which includes overhaul of the research and development strategy, talent cultivation, regulatory frameworks to foster AI adoption across sectors of the economy and in the society in general. There's also in this strategy a major focus on public-private partnerships with leading Korean firms like Samsung or SK hynix, which are expected to play a central role in this AI revolution in South Korea. So when you combine all these factors, the good infrastructures, the government that wants to double down on AI, and the companies already there and working on that, it really makes a good combination of factors that will help Korea to get an edge of the other country on AI and technologies.
Right, and before we further delve into that, Professor Kim, speaking as a scholar, do you see the AI industry further driving the rally of the local stock market?
Absolutely, absolutely. As Celio mentioned, they explained very well a lot of benefits or a lot of strengths of Korean industries in AI in the hardware, especially attract foreign investors. The foreign and domestic investors are investing in the Korean stock market, focusing on AI chip manufacturer, SK hynix and Samsung Electronics, the cloud service providers, Samsung SDS and LG CNS, search engine company Naver, and in messaging platform Kakao. In addition, like Sheila mentioned, foreign investors will look like having trust in economic policies of the newly inaugurated South Korean President Lee Jae-myung government, and then who is committed to boosting AI investment. It is known that there will be a huge investment, let's say about 735 billion US dollars in the AI sector itself, including AI hardware like AI data center and chips, and AI software like foundation models and physical AI models in near future. This investment will boost up demand in AI industry, which will lead to more investment in supply side. Accordingly, the rally in the stock market will continue for a while.
Right, good to know. And Celio, do tell us a bit more about the Lee Jae-myung administration's plan to place South Korea among the world's top 3 AI powerhouses.
Indeed, it's an initiative driven already by a massive 100 trillion won investment. It's about $700 billion. It's aimed to build what Seoul calls a sovereign AI. The core idea is simple. It's to create an AI system that is rooted in Korean language, Korean culture, Korean data, breaking free from dependence on other countries' system. We saw recently with the Chinese AI DeepSeek, the problem that Korea feared that maybe this AI system would catch some data from Korean companies, from Korean government. So all these issues are really important in this era of sovereignty. You want to have your own tools that will not be interfering with your government and with your economy. And so this the cornerstone of the plan for the infrastructure to make this sovereign AI is to partners with companies and particularly SK Group to build what would be the Northeast Asia largest data center in Busan. It's a massive facilities, and on the technology front also, South Korea is doubling down, as we said, on AI and producing the AI semiconductor, the high-band memories chip that is now the main core of the economy for companies like SK hynix or Samsung. And so they're redeveloping and investing a lot thanks also to the government that is pushing on that way too, to foster creativity, to get an edge on the other competitors, maybe in Taiwan, Japan, or even now the US. The plan, though, is not without some risk. Of course, it's like a gambling also. Experts highlight structural hurdles such as a limited Korean language data set, because Korean is mostly spoken in Korea, so it limits how much you can build on it. And also, it's a question of how the plan will be financed over the long run. It's a good thing to start with a massive amount of money, but how sustainable is it going to be in the coming years, in the 5 years? So that has to be addressed later. But still, it really could transform Korea, if things go well, into a really AI global powerhouse. And that is the goal of the current administration.
Right, so that is the goal for the future. Professor Kim, where does South Korea currently stand in the global AI race, and how feasible is South Korea's AI blueprint, do you think?
Well, I'd like to introduce two stats in terms of that, sense. The first one is the Global Vibrance Tool 2024 from Stanford Institute for Human-Centered AI. It shows that South Korea is positioned at the 7th place out of 36 countries investigated. This is a kind of tracking tool. So this tracking tool measures a country's AI ecosystem on 42 AI-specific indicators, including research papers, private investment, patent, and more. According to the tool, the U.S. is ranked at the top, followed by China, United Kingdom, India, interestingly, United Arab Emirates, and France, then Korea, right? Another research, named Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index by model type, reveals that Korea is one of the 4 countries, including the U.S., China, and France, that developed AI foundation models ranked top 10 to 15. If South Korean AI foundation models outperform those of France, like Mistral, Korea will possibly become the global top 3 country. In the sense, I think there would be a great opportunities for Lee Jae-myung administration to make it happen.
Right, and speaking about his administration, Celio, there was quite a bit of headlines upon his appointment of an AI secretary. Who is the person behind this post, and what can we expect from him based on his past credentials?
Indeed, President Lee Jae-myung surprised many by naming Ha Jong-woo, leading AI technologist from Naver, as South Korea's first ever senior presidential secretary for AI future planning. Ha brings a rare blend of academic rigor and hands-on industry expertise. He earned his PhD in computer science and electrical engineering from Seoul National University, and has led Naver's AI Innovation Center, overseeing the development of HyperClova X, a language model used in AI. Ha is also the public face of Korea Sovereign AI Plan, a concept that, as we said, emphasize building a Korean AI system. And so I think he is a good man in the right position. What we can expect from him is first a deep technical leadership. As I mentioned, he worked firsthand in Naver and knows how companies work. It's not just having ideas, it's also having the practicality and knowing how to make it happen. And that will help really in how to implement those policies. And also he has an academic background, which published more than 100 papers about AI, and is also participated in many conferences. And his research really helped to gather get a grasp on what's the trend in the sector, on the creation, on the innovation, and with this practicality that he has in Naver, help to combine the best of both worlds, I would say. So according to the diplomat, this sovereign AI experiment is really important these days, and having people that can enable it to happen, to implement it really well, is really crucial to do it fast and do it right. It's a highly costly program, so you really have to have people that have an expertise on it. I think this battle-tested AI leader, Ha Jong-woon, really showed that also the Lee Jae-myung administration is trying to gather around experts in different fields to allow his policies to be implemented well.
Right, and staying with that, Celia, the president's nomination for science minister, I understand, is also an AI expert, right? Tell us a bit about him.
Exactly. It's still the same ideas to pick the experts to implement policies, and in that case, it's Baek Kyung-hoon, head of LG AI Research, LG Group's Research Institute on Technology, and he was named science minister. So really, it's still this ideas to be surrounded by experts. I think it's a good sign for both the country and also the industries, and we'll see how far that can go.
Right, and that being said, Professor Kim, how do these appointments look to advance the new administration's AI ambitions, do you think?
Well, those appointments, give us some kind of hint. Probably the direction of AI development in Korea goes two ways. The first one will be a sovereign AI development driven by AI Secretary Mr. Ha. And the second will be the physical AI development driven by the Minister Bae. AI Secretary Ha will focus on the AI infrastructure, including AI data center, AI chips, cloud computing infrastructure, and finally, the foundation model. While the Minister Bae, we can see from his expertise, will focus on the utilization of the AI and the transformation of industries into the AI-driven or AI-based, manufacturing industries. And so that we can improve the productivity of manufacturing industries and service industries, and also enhance the functionality and quality of product and services. And we'll see those two different directions.
Right, so this nominees, of course, we'll see how they work once they are confirmed into their office. In the meantime, Celia, based on what Professor Kim had spoken about earlier, it appears that France is slightly ahead of South Korea with regard to the AI race, right? For the sake of comparison, what can you tell us about Europe's own race?
Yeah, Europe's approach to the AI race is quite distinct from US or Asian countries like South Korea. It's driven much more by regulation and ethics. The EU AI Act passed last year is the world's first major attempt to regulate artificial intelligence comprehensively. And it categorized AI system by risk, banning those deemed unacceptable, like social scoring, tightly regulating high-risk application, such as facial recognition, health tech, or public infrastructures. The goal is to build what Europe calls a trustworthy AI, an AI that respects fundamental rights, privacy, and democratic values to limit what sort of abuse could be done with AI. And while this has earned some praise globally, especially from NGOs of human rights, it's also raised some concern that it might be too much burden on the companies to really create a new system and limit them how they can experiment. And still there's some momentum. As we mentioned, France and Germany are leading in Europe, investing $1 billion into sovereign AI, including, as Professor Kim said, the Mistral AI, the French one. That is an answer to open AI, maybe. While Germany also backing a pan-European cloud network to rival with AWS or Azure. Yet challenges remain. Europe still lags behind the US and China on that matter. And in terms of foundational models, venture funding and industrial scale AI, it's still lagging behind. So EU is betting on maybe more regulation, regulatory leadership, and research excellence in specific sectors to get an edge on the other countries.
Right, and speaking about regulation, Professor Kim, at the start of this year, South Korea passed the AI Basic Act, which is slated to go into effect next January, if I'm not mistaken. What is the impact of such regulation, do you think, on AI advancements, generally speaking?
Right. The AI Basic Act of South Korea was passed in December last year and will be effective in next January. With this, Korea became the second country after the European Union to adopt a comprehensive AI regulatory framework, which in turn, will position Korea as a global leader in trustworthy and innovative AI. And basically, this kind of regulatory framework will, contribute Korea to control the AIs to make it, sovereign AIs. And it is designed to provide a legal framework to advance Korea's, national competitive in AI, while ensuring ethical standard and public trust, just like, EU framework, right? And then the act, set up a legal ground for establishing a national AI control tower, an AI safety institute, and various governmental initiatives in R&D, standardization, and policies. The legislation also, mandates separate initiatives to support the national AI infrastructures, including training data and data centers, and fostering SMEs and startups and talent in the AI field. The key part of the act is that, just like in EU, the act assigns transparency and safety responsibility to businesses that develop and deploy high-impact AI and generative AIs. This mandate will impose some burdens to businesses to comply with, but giving some power to Korean companies to lead the way of future AI.
Right, and speaking about Korean companies leading the AI path, Celia, a number of foreign media outlets covered SK's partnership with Amazon to build an AI data center here in South Korea. Could you tell us a bit more about this joint venture and its implications? Indeed,
SK Group has a $5 billion partnership with Amazon Web Services to build an AI data centers in Busan. It signaled Korea push into a hyperscale AI infrastructure. The first phase, launching around 2027, will deliver 40 megawatt of power and 60,000 GPUs, expanding over 100 megawatt by 2029. Strategically sited next to SK Gas LNG plant, it resolved key issues like energy and cooling bottlenecks that have held back large-scale AI deployment. I read an interesting piece in the Jungang Daily recently that reported that still Korea is pushing towards data centers to get far ahead in the race against countries like Germany that developed a bigger technology and industry on data center, but still that there's some limitation to what Korea can do right now is that, for example, the high electricity price in Korea, expensive land, and weak long-term planning has delayed how much Korea could do, and there will be some room for improvement on that. And also what the newspaper said is that these days, so far, the data centers are located around Seoul in the neighboring area, and that poses a massive pressure on the electric grid. So it's a good thing that plans like this for putting data centers in Busan, far from where all the pressure is in the country, is a good sign that Korea is now trying to think differently to how to approach this problem, and that will lead to new experimentation like we have seen, like we will see in Busan. So it's possible when governments and also companies agreed on a new strategy like we're seeing right now, that will help to overcome the structural limitation induced by the country. But it's still promising, and we'll see how it can work. You're right. We'll definitely see how the partnership between the private and public sector turn out then. All right, Celia, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Professor Kim at Sogang University, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you for having me.
Right, that ends this edition of Press Perspective. As always, thank you for watching, and do join us again same time tomorrow for yet another panel discussion.
Arirang TV is conducting an overseas TV viewer survey to provide you with a better global broadcast service.